Join the Community Wine and Spirits monthly wine club, the Mutual Satisfaction Society. You'll receive 3 carefully selected bottles every month, complete with tasting notes and detailed information on each wine, all for $90. Join in the next 24 hours and get 20% off your first shipment. Want fancier wine? We got you. Join the Mutual Satisfaction Society Plus for extra satisfaction. $150 will get you 3 very special bottles. Let us take the trouble out of selecting great wines that you will love. Your first shipment is 20% off just for listening to View the Right Thing. Join the community today at www.communitywineandspirits.com or DM us at CommunityWS.
A man and a woman, each from different schools of thought, collide in a romantic tryst that leaves them questioning their own beliefs. Laura is a free-spirited single mother who homeschools her only son out of fear that he would be stifled by societal norms. When her son becomes entangled with the law, he is sent to an Episcopalian reform school, whose dean tries to convince Laura that it isn't the prison that she believes it is. This married headmaster and Laura quickly develop feelings for one another, which force them to confront what they really expect and want out of life. Wes and Alexis reform their views on this 1965 flick, starring Elizabeth Taylor, Richard Burton, and Eva Marie Saint in The Sandpiper on View the Right Thing.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of View the Right Thing. I'm Wes.
I'm Alexis.
Hi, Alexis. How are you?
Wes. I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
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 Even after that movie.
Even after that movie. We survived.
We watched a movie.
We watched a movie.
We did.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This might be a short episode. We'll see, folks.
It might be. Mm-hmm. But, you know, this is View the Right Thing. And we have places that you can keep up with what we're doing.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I like the silver lining approach here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a Patreon.
Yep.
Which we'd love if people would like to join. It's free.
Mm-hmm.
Free Patreon. There's some paid tiers as well.
Yes.
But
if you feel so inclined.
But yeah, free Patreon. Yeah. You get like a little update about what's going on in our world and what's coming ahead. Mm-hmm. And a little reminder when a new episode comes out. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we've done a giveaway on the Patreon.
Giveaways. Those are great.
If you are in one of the paid tiers, you have access to the exclusive video format. And then we're also on hi. And then we also have Instagram, TikTok,
YouTube.
Uh-huh. We're on YouTube. You can listen to our episodes on YouTube.
Yes. It's very exciting.
It is very exciting.
We're so happy to be here for you.
Yep. We are happy. We are sorry. I'm in a little bit of a daze from the movie. But yeah.
It's okay.
So how are you?
Gosh, I've been so busy.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been good. The play's going really well.
Yeah.
I'm very excited.
When do tickets go on sale?
Now. They're available now.
Okay, so here's the thing though.
Uh-huh.
By the time people hear this episode, the play will be over.
Yeah.
So
that's okay. We had a great run.
It was excellent. But we'll make sure we put links in. We'll have had put links in the in the description of our episodes. How about that? We'll do something like that.
I think that sounds fantastic.
Okay.
And by the time this airs, I will have been on a YouTube show because I'm getting interviewed about the show since I'm a producer and I'm one of the leads.
Mm-hmm.
I'm being interviewed on this YouTube show called The Actor's Choice. So it will be available on YouTube in perpetuity. So go ahead and after you're done listening to this and or watching this, go over to YouTube and give that a little watch, and you can find out more about the show.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yay. I was just so this will have been out for a while by the time people hear this, but I was just in our friend Phil's podcast, and there was a video version of it on YouTube. So if you want to see me talk about my 3 favorite films, then go to his YouTube page, which is for his podcast called Cinema, Life, and Everything. I always want to switch those words around. Cinema, Life, and Everything.
Yeah.
And maybe by the time this episode comes out, you'll have been on it. I don't know. We'll see.
Hey.
We'll see. I know it's in the works.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Any other great life things to talk about?
Any other great life things? No.
Okay, cool.
Not really.
Yeah,
That suffices, you know.
Fair enough. Yeah, same here. I mean, some kind of, I guess just get it out there.
Yeah.
You will not, the viewers and listeners will no longer hear Walt or see him in the background. We lost our beautiful little boy.
Yeah.
So life has been a little bit of a bummer for the last week or so, but you know, life carries on for not him, but for the rest of us.
Yeah. And his memory will always live on.
Yeah, for sure. We got a little snoot print.
Yeah.
To remember him by, but
he was the bestest boy.
He was the bestest boy. He really was. All right, I'm not gonna dwell on that because I'm gonna get upset.
Okay.
So, trailers. I happen to know you haven't seen any trailers, but I saw one.
Okay, great.
And by the time this episode comes out, the movie will be out.
Hey.
The trailer just came out, and my understanding is that they're trying to release this by election day. And so I think it comes out in October. And it's called The Apprentice, and it's Sebastian Stan playing Donald Trump, young Donald Trump.
Oh.
So interesting thing. Oh, Jeremy Strong's in it. What's her name? Maria Bakalova is also in it.
Why do I know that name?
Maria Bakalova. She was Borat's daughter in the second Borat film, and she's Cosmo, the telepathic dog in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Oh, wild.
Yeah.
Cool. I have never seen any of the Borat movies.
Oh, they're funny, but
yeah.
Yeah. The second one was really interesting because it was filmed and released during COVID.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that was the Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah, that's her scene.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have much else.
What do you think of that? The trailer.
It looks good. Like it looks like. So here's the thing. The performances look fine. It's hard to tell from the trailer. It's very flashy. It's like I kind of already know the story, and I'm kind of had my fill of Donald Trump, so I'm not 100% sure who this is for. I mean, I don't know that it's going to be for. It's not going to sway Trump supporters, I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think undecided voters will care about a narrative film made by Hollywood. I mean, people sort of view Hollywood as one-sided anyways, so
right.
I don't know. Yeah. Probably will be good.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Sebastian Stan's great.
Yes.
So there's that.
Great.
I think Jeremy Strong.
Yeah.
Jeremy Strong is also great. Although I think he's like he's a method actor, and so I think it's problematic for some people that he works with. Like I think Brian Cox has been on record saying that like he wanted to like throttle him during Succession. He's just like, fucking American a-hole actors. So
Ugh.
Anyways,
Okay.
yeah. So that's coming out.
Fun.
Yeah, fun.
Great.
Okay, so we sort of said that we think this might be a shorter episode.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Sandpiper.
Okay.
Do you have
The
your
Sandpiper.
synopsis?
I do.
Okay.
Okay. A free-spirited single mother forms a connection with the married headmaster of an Episcopalian boarding school in Monterey, California.
Nothing could go wrong.
No. No hijinks.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question.
Please.
Did you enjoy this movie?
Not really.
No, me neither.
I don't know why it was made.
So I think it's a book. Because I noticed that it said it was adapted.
Oh.
And then
I feel like it would have been a better play than a movie.
Yeah, maybe.
You know?
Yeah. So it's Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor, who were married at the time. And my understanding is their careers were sort of waning a little, and so they both thought they weren't going to work again, and they wanted to work together at least once, so they rushed out to find something, and this was it. This is the winner of the Academy Award for Best Original Song.
Yeah.
The song was rated number 77 among the American Film Institute's 100 Years, 100 Songs. So it's the America's Greatest Music in the Movies. The song's called The Shadow of Your Smile. I thought the song was incredibly boring.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just like, well, all right. I guess this was the 60s, or I don't know. It just was this melancholy. I don't know.
It was lovely jazz, just like instrumental jazz.
I guess.
Was that a saxophone?
Yeah.
Or a trumpet?
I don't know. Trumpet. It was a trumpet solo.
Yeah. Which was beautiful. And I found it to have a lot of emotion in the song. And that's just me. I have a very different experience with music.
Sure.
But I would not be surprised if you confirmed that is the only thing they were nominated for.
That was the only thing they were nominated. Well, for so Golden Globes, they got nominated for Best Score, which is song music. Yeah.
But I don't think any technical part of that movie, aside from the music, was good.
Wildlife photography was fine.
Sure.
Because they had specifically brought in a wildlife photographer for that stuff. You know,
right.
The deer and birds and helicopter shots of water.
Yeah, I felt like I can't. I don't want to say that until I get to the part of my note.
Sure. This is it's interesting. I guess I think so these two had been in movies together before, but I don't think they'd been married. Maybe. I think
because they married each other a couple of times.
Yeah,
they married and divorced each other 3 times.
Yeah, I just had read that they really wanted to get in a movie together, but they'd already been in 2 movies together before.
Yeah, because they were in Taming of the Shrew.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know their filmography. I'm hard pressed. These are not actors of an era that I love in film. So, so I couldn't name another Richard Burton movie off the top of my head. And barely could name Elizabeth Taylor. They're just not of interest to me.
Oh, wow.
She was
Not even
Cleopatra.
Cat on a Hot Tin Roof?
Sure. You say it and I'm like, oh yeah, okay. But I wouldn't think of them. I wouldn't.
Oh.
Yeah, just.
Oh God. Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, it was supposed to be filmed in black and white, but because it was Paul Newman and Elizabeth Taylor and their piercing blue eyes, they decided to go and film it in color.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Have you not seen Cat on a Hot Tin Roof?
Maybe. I don't know.
Wow. We need to add that to the bucket.
It's probably in the bucket.
Okay, good. I mean,
there's 400 movies in the bucket. It's probably in the bucket.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so this is the third of 11 movies that they starred in together.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. the least amount of chemistry.
Yeah.
I feel.
Holy cow. That's a note I made.
It's like pulling teeth.
Yeah. Oh, do you know who Elizabeth Taylor's double was in the film? Uncredited.
She needed to have a double?
Yeah, they always have a double.
Who?
Raquel Welch. Unknown, uncredited Raquel Welch.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
I think it's for like the beach scenes.
Okay.
She had a double. Well, she couldn't be bothered to stand on the beach for too long.
Oh, fair.
But yeah. Sharon Tate was also in this film, except that she got cut out because Elizabeth Taylor was jealous.
Oh my gosh.
And she
was better.
She required someone to like babysit Richard Burton whenever Sharon Tate was on set because she was worried that he would go over and flirt with her.
Oh, you mean like playing how the actual film is?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Okay, let's go through some of your notes.
All right.
I don't have a ton.
Okay.
So I just have a lot of like sentences with question mark, exclamation mark, question mark, exclamation mark.
Yeah. So my very first note I took was that is the worst font for an opening scene ever.
Yeah, the opening credits.
I don't know who approved that font.
Yeah, it's very 60s.
But it's impossible to read.
Yep. I agree.
And just, it's like nonsensical.
Yeah.
And that really, really bothered me.
Yeah.
And then the next thing we see is this little boy just walking around with a gun. And then he kills a deer and immediately gets in trouble for it.
Yep. You can't just go
now,
around shooting deer.
Is that just, like, is that a thing? You're not allowed to shoot deer?
Well, you got to have a hunting license to go hunting.
Oh.
And yeah, I mean, it's probably like protected, and you know, there's rules for hunting.
I guess I just wonder how did the police find out she lived kind of in the middle of nowhere?
I don't know.
And it was on her land.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What'd they try to do with the deer? I don't know.
Right?
I don't know. She's out at the beach. Like people go to. I mean,
I guess.
Freaking Big Sur. Am I right?
Big Sur.
Yeah.
Truly. And then she talks about being a naturalist. And I have never heard of that before. As an anti-religion.
Well, and he said there's only a church of one, right? So I don't think it was real. When she said she was a naturalist, I was like a nudist?
Possibly. She seemed to be
she was a free
hippie
spirit.
Adjacent.
Yeah, for sure.
But I wouldn't call it like she was wound too tight to be a hippie.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just gonna let you just kind of go through your notes here. If I have a spot, or if I think we've passed where I have.
So the Reverend just walks into her home.
Yeah.
Like knocks once and then just walks in.
Yeah.
And she is not absolutely livid that someone has intruded upon her home.
Yeah, it's such a. I was thinking the same thing, and I don't know if that was a product of the '60s. You know, we've talked about they just leave their doors unlocked or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I had the same thought too, where I was like, oh yeah, just go on in.
By all the other things that upset her.
Everything else upset her.
Everything else was a huge deal, but.
So I have a note.
Mm-hmm.
The I can't remember. It must have been the priest mentioned that that his wife was helping her son,
right?
And she just like fucking loses it, right? Like I just wrote, is the mom nuts? Her reaction to the priest's wife helping her son seems a little unhinged.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is mental illness in that family.
Hell yeah.
Between her and her son, both.
Oh my God. The violent drawings that he made.
Yeah, I wrote the kid is a psycho.
Oh, yeah. I said he's got some serious behavior issues.
So seeing her very like mental unwellness, mm-hmm. and then clearly the boy also has issues. He has all those like really violent drawings that you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's very Norma Bates. kind of a thing,
Oh,
right? Like
yes.
a very overprotective mother and this weirdly close relationship they have with each other. And then his like predilection for like drawing horrific people being murdered and animals with their heads cut off. And I was like, this, and I made a point of saying the Sandpiper is there and it's injured. Who injured it? Did the boy injure the Sandpiper?
Right.
Possibly. We don't know. We didn't see it happen.
And she seemed so used to caring for injured animals.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, this is an old thing.
Yeah.
And it's old hat to her.
Yeah. And he killed a deer at the beginning.
Yep. He's a violent kid.
Yeah. It's
no wonder the court ordered him to go to what is it
religious
called?
school, like a parochial
I want to call it a sleepaway school. Like, what's the actual boarding school?
boarding school.
There we go. Can the court do that? Order
Probably.
a child to go to a boarding school?
Probably. I mean, well, he gave her choices. Like, he could have sent the kid to reform school, right?
Yeah.
So I think he was like doing a favor, trying to not give the kid a record and set him on the path to criminal life.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, a judge could probably order that, but he did give her sort of a choice. He gave her an ultimatum.
What else do I have here? There was someone said lady artists can be fun. Was that the gross guy?
I thought it was the judge. I think it was the judge. They were all golfing.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of commentary on women in a really gross fashion.
Which is interesting because I sort of felt like maybe that was a little bit the point. Like,
right.
The Elizabeth Taylor's Laura made a point of talking about sort of her history with men and how they just want to sort of own her, and she's never like had somebody love her for. She doesn't know what love is, basically.
Right.
And I want to know what love is. But so I thought maybe that was a little bit the point, which for the mid-1960s is actually pretty progressive for film.
Yeah.
But
it almost didn't seem like she wanted to know love. She's like, I don't need to. I'm an independent woman. I do what I want.
Yeah, it was weird. It was like both a sort of a praise of independent womanhood and an admonition, admonishment of it at the same time, which led me to another point that I wrote, which was, what is this message? Question mark, exclamation mark, question mark, exclamation mark, question mark, exclamation mark. So, yeah, because I never really understood what I never really got the point. Like, I understood as a character study, but that's not enough for a 2-hour movie to just be a character study.
Yeah.
You know, what are they trying to say? And I really felt like they kind of, one, they missed opportunities, and two, like, just kind of didn't really seem like they had anything to say.
Yeah.
Because any point they made is undercut by another point. Kind of like this idea that she's praised for being a free spirit, and this boy is like, you know, his education is pretty good because she's been the one teaching him. And then at the same time, it's like, well, he actually thrives and becomes a normal human under like good social situations.
Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what the point of the movie was.
I don't either. Yeah.
What else? What other notes did you have?
I wrote their relationship and interaction is weird AF. The chemistry is just off between Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor.
I agree.
Like, there was no. It just seemed so weird.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't believe anything.
I have another note. I'm just going to read my notes word for word here. Okay. They're married in real life in this moment, and they share the least passionate kisses put on film.
Yes. Really.
Yeah, this was a rough one.
It was hard.
This is a real rough one.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So he invites her to design the stained glass for the new chapel.
Mm-hmm.
And her response is, but I'm an atheist. How can I design something I don't believe in? Like, what?
Yeah.
You're an artist.
Yeah. You interpret stuff. Like, that's your job.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do we know that Michelangelo, I don't know that he was I don't know if he was a very religious person, but he was threatened. He was forced to finish the Sistine Chapel.
Right.
Because they sent essentially the mob after him. If you don't finish this, we will kill you.
Well,
So
and the Reverend makes that point at some point. He's like, he lists off a bunch of artists saying that they weren't believers either, but their works are in churches all over,
right?
Which is again kind of a cool point. Yeah, I actually thought they missed an opportunity with the stained glass. I get that thematically for the plot, they couldn't build and show us the stained glass window, especially in the moment that I'm thinking. But he goes, after the Reverend cheats on his wife, he goes to the chapel, essentially, I think, to like ask for forgiveness or like think about what he's done. And I just kept thinking, if only her stained glass window was there, I feel like it would have some subtext and like drive home the point, which was that she was designing these windows without man because there couldn't be innocence without man, and he's there like, there because he's the least innocent man in the world in that moment, and it's like, well, we could have had that like juxtaposition,
right.
And I felt like that was sort of like, I don't know, maybe a missed opportunity. I get later on that not having the chapel built and wanting to use the money for something else is like a catalyst to out his affair to his wife. But I don't know. There could have been ways around that, I guess. But
yeah, he mentions the stained glass to her, and she's like, "Well, I don't even know. Maybe I can put something together and show you later tonight." And I'm going to guess maybe 5 hours later, she has these beautiful, intricate watercolors.
I didn't think it was the same night.
Really?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Yeah, because she's like, I've been working on this for a while. I don't know. I got the vibe that it was not the same night.
Okay. I don't feel like they explained the passage of time very well.
You were 100% correct on that.
I was like, is he just taking long weekends? Why is he spending so much time with her?
Yeah.
Has he completely abandoned his post as the reverend of this school?
Here's a tip for filmmakers. If you're going to shoot and set something in California, you have to find a way to show passage of time, because it's not like Minnesota, where all of a sudden there's snow everywhere and you understand that it's no longer summer. So, to your point, it was very convoluted, and I think the only way we were supposed to sort of understand passage of time was Danny's like comfort at the school, but we didn't get enough Danny to see that progress.
Right.
1 minute he's drawing the other school children with knives sticking out of them and rats with their heads cut off, and then next time we see him is like, he's doing really well. He's in an 8th grade class and he's really happy. And it's like, okay, what happened in between those two things? Like, how many cats did he murder in between those scenes? So,
oh my gosh, yes.
Movie's a convoluted mess.
I wrote the script. Oof. The discussion of man is completely useless. Who put these words to paper and why? And then she burns the works.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wrote, they never should have shown Elizabeth Taylor actually painting. She's not good.
Oh, well, the paintings, the end products were fine.
Yes.
Whoever actually painted them.
The one, like, after she burned her paintings, and then she's like, oh, I think they had slept together or something. And she's like, well, I can paint and talk at the same time. And I see her painting something. I'm like,
blue. Yeah.
That's not good. when he talks about wanting her, he told her that.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is not something that needed to be said out loud.
It was before they slept together.
Yeah,
He
you're
was
right.
Like, yeah, he was
I
like,
want you.
I want you. I must leave now.
Cool story, bro. Go home to your wife.
Yeah.
Something that it's something that I notice a lot in certain films that, well, when they do a bad job at it, the ADR in this film was terribly mixed and so distracting for me.
I just wrote it off to the time, the era. I feel like in the 60s it was often.
But even in Bonnie and Clyde, their ADR was better than this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just so mad. My next note. I complain a lot. I'm just telling y'all, I'm complaining a lot.
This is Vent about a movie hour.
This doesn't make sense. She snuggles into him after getting up post-coitus and acting like they're a couple. She latches on awfully quick for wanting to be an independent woman.
Well, yeah, and I think that's, again, going back to like every time they make a point, they undercut it with something else. And I guess by the end of the movie, you understand that like she's finally understood what love is.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I guess that she's fallen in love really quickly, and she's never experienced that before, and whatever. But yeah, I mean, it is weird how quickly she abandons her ideals.
Yeah. Truly. I wrote, it's infuriating. There's supposed to be this wild chemistry between them, but it doesn't work.
No.
They know each other too well in real life, and it's negatively affected these intimate scenes. She played with his butt chin.
Yeah, that was weird too.
And that's not something you really do with a new lover. I feel like maybe you're more like, I'm just going to, I don't know, me personally, with a new lover, I'm not going to play with their butt chin. Because she like squeezes it together, which is totally...
Yeah.
That's something that I feel someone who's spent more...
A lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hear you.
And she calls him my love. And I was like, pardon this phrase, but I was like, they banged twice and now she loves him?
Yeah.
And he just stays the night? How does his wife not know where he is and not suspect anything?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was the 60s?
Yeah.
Mark? And he's
no cell phones. We learn later that he was
priest.
supposed to be at this other event in Monterey.
Yeah, she thought he was a godly man.
Yeah.
And, so she gave him a lot of leeway. But yeah, I mean...
Which everyone should know, just because you're a pastor or a preacher does not mean that you are more godly or better than someone else.
Ask the altar boys in the Catholic Church. Mm-hmm. They know.
I mean, the church I grew up with, the man who ran that church was not a good man.
Yeesh.
So just because they hold a position in the church does not make them godly.
Sure.
And I think a lot of people confuse that.
Yeah.
Anyway. Oh, one of my favorite lines was when they go out to the beach, or they've just left her cabin, and she's trying to get the Sandpiper to come outside. Mm-hmm. And she's like, he's making his own prison. And I was like, what a commentary on the entire film.
Yeah. Well, and it was like so on the nose.
Yeah.
Too. Just like, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, well, I did in that moment sort of in my head kind of go, well, at least they're trying to offer some subtext, but it just was so on the nose that it wasn't sub anything.
It was just context.
Yeah. Okay, can we talk about Charles Bronson?
Sure.
I hated him. I didn't enjoy his performance. I didn't like the character. And that was the moment that I was like, there are no likable people, maybe with the exception of the wife.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the wife was the only likable character in the whole film.
There's a guy who works with the Reverend that they show. He says goodbye to him at the end of the film.
Right, yeah.
But you don't get enough of him to like really understand. But and I guess the judge isn't terribly unlikable except for the fact that he's like, oh, artist,
Yeah.
phone. But yeah,
I would say, you know what really killed this movie?
Charles Bronson.
The editing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I feel like it could have been edited in a way that wasn't so disjointed and muddy. It just kind of felt like a muddy movie.
Interesting. Yeah, I would have given it to the writing. I would have just said the writing is not good. It's interesting, the pacing in the movie. This is so you feel like it's too slow?
I feel like it's disjointed. There are aspects like it's fast, 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 slow, fast, 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 slow, 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 slow.
Well, this is the average shot is about in between 8 and 9 seconds, roughly 8 seconds a shot, which is the fastest of all of this director's films. This is also his least successful film.
Yeah.
Although
Vincent Minnelli.
Vincent Minnelli, and he won. I mean, it won. What am I trying to say? Not it won.
No.
It did well at the box office.
Only because of the names.
Yeah, and you know, maybe it was an established work that people maybe knew at the time.
Oh, right, because you said it was based off of a book?
I think so. I mean, it was adapted from something. So there were two writers, and it said it was adapted.
Yes. It was a story by Martin Ransahoff.
Sure. If you say so.
That's what the interweb says.
Two camps, Irene and Louis Camp.
Yeah, they adapted
it.
The story.
But then it had two additional screenplay writers. So it's usually a pretty rough sign when there's a lot of writers. But
ooh, Dalton Trumbo.
Yeah.
Was one of the. That's interesting.
Yeah. But it's the era, right?
I guess so. But like he did Roman Holiday.
Mm-hmm. But you know what? Roman Holiday, it's the performances. The story's not very good. I'm going to say it. The story's not that good. And I find it a little boring, to be honest with you.
Well, sorry.
But the performances are good in Roman Holiday. As a matter of fact, I think the performances and the costuming and the setting sell Roman Holiday.
Yes.
That makes it interesting.
Yeah.
But this movie is not Roman Holiday.
It's not Roman Holiday. It has a beautiful setting. Like excuse me, I enjoy the cutaways to the ocean, but I'm pretty sure those cutaways are an innuendo for every time they make love.
Oh. But it starts with the ocean.
I know. She's a sexual being.
No.
You don't think she's a sexual being?
I think she's. I don't think that's like what drives her though. And we have no indication of anyone else at the beginning, right? Like the movie opens with the ocean.
True.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
Okay.
That's interesting. When it's just the ocean, I wonder. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I guess I wasn't paying that close attention to what happens surrounding the ocean shots.
Yeah.
I think the ocean was, you know, they brought in a nature photographer, and they probably just were like, you know, again, your complaint about editing, we're like, well, how do we bridge these scenes together? You know, it's kind of like in TV shows, it's like cut to a shot of outside a building. Yeah. And I think that's probably more likely.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's interesting.
After one of their sexual encounters, they're sitting down on the beach, and they have this conversation about men and women, and he states that women are equal to men, which is huge for the time. For 1965?
Yes, yeah.
That's a big statement. That's a bold statement for the 60s, which I am delighted in. But then he goes on to talk about men getting tired of their aging wives, and that's why they leave them.
Well, I think I felt like he was commenting on
what he's doing.
No, I don't think so. I think he was commenting on what he thinks she thinks of him. He was sort of saying, "Oh, this is the view that you have of me," and immediately she's like, "Well, that's not what I'm saying about you. I don't mean you." And so I think he was sort of like playing, the little wounded animal. Oh, you think this of me,
Mm-hmm.
You don't think highly of men. You must think I'm this bad. And then she, again, like I said, she comes to her own defense about that.
Yeah.
Like immediately. So
Right.
I think it was a poor delivery of him trying to make a point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But nothing in this movie is clear.
Yeah. When he finally tells his wife that he has made love, he didn't say we slept together.
Yeah.
Made love. That is such a different.
And
Like saying we slept together is like, oh, not like, sorry, we slept together. It's we made love.
It makes me
I have a
uncomfortable.
deep connection. It makes you what?
Uncomfortable.
Oh, yes.
The phrase makes me uncomfortable in general.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Well, it's so much more intimate.
It's old timey and like
Oh.
like ugh.
But Eva Marie Saint's reaction is the only emotional reaction I believe.
Oh yeah, when she's walking away, she walked weird, but when she was like storming off and like
Yeah.
you could tell like the way she cried and screamed was like
Yes.
I believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Like most of her reactions throughout the film are genuine. Like
Yeah.
even when she meets with Danny.
Danny and sits on his bed.
Yeah. Like she took me in.
Yeah.
Like she was in a different film than the other people.
Yeah.
And she was in a better film. I want to watch that film.
Yeah. Sammy Davis Jr. was almost in this film.
What? Oh no, as the beatnik?
Yeah. They
That guy was intense.
Charles Bronson?
No. Her beatnik friend.
Yeah, Cause. That was Charles Bronson.
I was thinking of the other beatnik friend.
Not the black guy.
Okay.
No. Charles Bronson.
Okay.
Cause, the character of Cause.
Gotcha.
He had some engagement that was about to start, so he couldn't be in it. I think they tried to get several black actors to play that character. Like Nat King Cole was considered at one point, and I can't remember someone else, but yeah, my understanding it was Cause, which is interesting because that would have potentially given her two friends would have been two black guys then, which would have been maybe kind of interesting for that time period, especially when they made a commentary on they need priests for churches where the congregation isn't the right color.
Right.
So that would have maybe been really interesting.
Yeah.
I almost kind of liked her friend that was her manager, essentially.
Yeah.
I kind of almost liked him, but there was something a little predatory about him in the scene where they're she's trying to sell the paintings and then the Reverend comes in and buys one.
Yeah.
There was something about him in that scene that was a little like, and I think maybe the era it was a little like pimp like.
Yes.
Where it wasn't his portrayal or anything. I just think it was just like how he was trying to sell her seemed a little icky.
Yeah.
And that she had to look to him for permission.
Right. It was her own artwork.
Yeah. It just felt weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah. And maybe the era is tainting my perception of that.
Yeah. That's possible.
Because there weren't a lot of black roles in that area that weren't like servants or pimps.
Or like blaxploitation.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was largely blaxploitation. Well, this would have been maybe like 6 years too early for that.
Oh, okay. Okay. So. When Richard Burton's character says, "I never knew love before," I was like, why? Like how? And wasn't he saying that to his wife?
I don't know.
Was he?
It's all a blur. I'm
like, well, how, what? I don't
understand a lot of the motivations in this. Again, if it's just a character study, I guess I get it. Like, it's kind of interesting that like this guy has clearly sold out. He even sort of mentions that he sold out his morals like 20 years ago or whatever. He's been doing this for 20 years.
Yeah.
And that this is the thing that finally wakes him up.
Mm-hmm.
So again, as a character study, kind of interesting, but as a narrative, like lesson, I don't get it. I didn't understand how this stuff related to his job, and there was no like symmetry in any of that.
Yeah.
I did like, however, that he ends up alone at the end of the movie, and that the mom, Laura, does what's best for her son, listens to him and does what's best for him.
Yeah.
But also ends up alone.
Yeah.
And that the wife is like, he's like, yeah, I'll check back in September. And she's like, maybe September's not going to be enough.
Yeah, that may be too soon. Also, right to our sons.
Yeah. So I kind of like that because there was a piece of me thinking, maybe with 20, 30 minutes left to go in the film, that it was going to just end up that she was going to forgive him and everyone would go their own separate ways, and she would take the kid to San Francisco or whatever. And that's what I thought the ending was actually going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of glad that at least it didn't end with a quote unquote happy ending.
Yeah. Probably
Danny is the one who gets the happy ending, if anyone.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I guess he does.
Yeah. He becomes a more normal adjusted kid with a social life.
Yeah.
And an education that's fit for his gifted abilities.
Yes. Great.
Yeah.
I don't know what the purpose of I don't know why the story had to be told.
Yeah.
That's a tough one for me.
I don't either.
Anybody out there, if you've seen this movie and you saw something we didn't.
Yeah, if you love
can you
this
please
film,
tell us?
Yeah.
Like, maybe, I don't think I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. I had a pretty good morning.
Yeah, no, it's a little baffling. So here's how this ended up in our bucket. So the podcast is supposed to be the movies you're supposed to watch before you die. And how some of these movies ended up in there was because they were on some list. AFI lists are really common for us to put movies from those things into the bucket. And this was in the list of songs, 100 best songs in movies. Mm-hmm. So it got into the bucket that way. We're going to have situations like that every once in a while. We heard the song. We understand that context now. Mm-hmm. But we didn't love the movie. Did not love the movie.
Yeah. And that happens.
So this movie's for somebody.
Right.
Just not us.
Yeah.
Let's see. What kind of rate? It gets a 6.2 out of 10 on the IMDb, which is a pretty strict. People are pretty harsh on there. Yeah, I'm a little surprised it's that high. People are saying things like Big Sur shines.
The location?
Dull, talky soap opera. The highest rating I see on here, the headline on that is Taylor and Burton together again.
Hey, they did it. It's like when someone has a baby and they're like, you had a baby.
Yeah.
And not like, oh, look at your sweet, adorable little child. There's like some people do that instead of, or like after performance, instead of saying like, wow, you did such a great job. It's like, you did that.
You were in a thing.
You were in a play.
way to thing it up. Yeah. All right. Well, do you have any more notes that you really just are like, hey, this is ultra pertinent or important?
No.
Okay.
No, other than the boys singing that Hallelujah song and staring at Elizabeth Taylor like little goofs.
Yeah.
That cracked me up.
Do you think Elizabeth Taylor asked for that scene to happen?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe someone was like, can we just add some levity into this thing?
I need children to ogle me. Again, it was very Norman Bates. Like, wait till you see how hot my mom is. It's weird.
Yeah, that was weird. That was super weird.
It's weird. The whole thing with the kid is weird. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it was.
so do you recommend this film to anyone?
Uh,
You can say no.
no,
Yeah, me neither.
no.
But
You can watch the opening to listen to the song that the movie was nominated for, and then you can do something else with the rest of your day.
yeah, you probably just YouTube the song or
Sure.
Spotify or Apple
Yeah.
Music or whatever.
What is the name of that song again? Do we know?
The Shadow of Your Smile,
The shadow of your
which is
smile.
also a weird phrase.
Does a smile leave a shadow?
I guess.
Maybe like in my cheeks it does,
Yeah.
but
Somewhere you're hidden somewhere in that smile, I guess. I think that's what it was called, Shadow of Your Smile. Sure, that's what it was called. Let me just double check that. The Shadow of Your Smile.
wow.
Yeah, 1966 Oscar winner.
Well,
But,
that was a thing.
Yeah.
We saw a thing, and if you want to see that thing too, you can watch it on where? Amazon?
we rented it.
Yeah.
It was didn't have an availability to watch as part of a streaming service at the time, at least that
Yeah.
we watched it. I can't imagine there's a huge demand for this. So
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Should we draw?
Yeah, let's draw. I'm gonna draw.
Do it. Bum, ba, bum, 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 bum.
Bucket.
Oh, it's the bucket.
And it's Breaking Away.
Okay.
I think it's an 80s movie.
Oh, fun. Breaking away.
Anyway, I think it's about bike riding. An 80s movie about riding bikes.
Cool.
Like 10 speeds.
Oh.
Like
Like
marathon.
bicycles.
Yeah.
Oh.
Marathon bike riding.
Okay.
I think. I've never seen it,
Cool.
but I think it's what it is. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be fun.
All right. Anything would be more fun than this last one. Apologies to anyone that watched this because of our podcast. You're probably a better person for it though, because here's the thing. I always say you can learn something from every film.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's what not to do. So yeah. Until next time, everyone. Bon cinema.